In this video, I'm going to show you the functions of the MPC Live's top panel. Check it out. What's up everybody, my name is Matthew Stratton, helping you create music, and on this channel, I do setup videos, tutorials, and how-tos, just like this one. Welcome back to my series. So in the previous video, I did a basic setup guide on the MPC Live, basically showing you how to connect the outputs and the inputs to turntables and speakers. In this video, I'm just going to go over the functions of all the knobs and encoders on the top panel of the MPC. If you're new to the MPC, it could be overwhelming because there are a lot of parameters on here that you can access on the top panel. And then on top of that, there's other different menu buttons. I'm just going to go over the basic functions of the top panel and what the buttons and encoders actually do. And then I'll go into more detail of the individual functions later in the different videos. The new feature of the MPC Live and the MPC Touch and the MPC X is this touchscreen here. I will cover this touchscreen and how to use it in a different video, probably in the next video. And then if you look over here, this is kind of your classic MPC pad layout. You know, you have your 16 pads. Pad 1's down here, pad 16 is up here. These are actually velocity and aftertouch sensitive. All right, so there's different things that you could do with the pad and the aftertouch on it. You can control the cutoff filter and different things like that. And I'll show you that in a different video, but it's good to know, like for example, you can see, and you might not be able to see, but they are actually colored. So you could assign colors to each of these pads. And there's already a kit in there. This is actually the hip hop demo that I loaded in the previous video. But for example, if I start a new drum program, all the colors disappear, and if I touch the pad, it's actually velocity sensitive. So the harder I hit it, you know, the color turns to red. So if I hit it at max, it's red. If I lay off a little bit, it kind of turns orange, and then it turns yellow, like the lighter you touch it. Moving right along. So if you look above the pads, you can see we have 8 different buttons that we can push. Okay, and then this right here is your pad bank. The top 4 are your pad banks. You actually have 8 pad banks. So if you double tap, you can go into the next layer. And if you look closely, you can see A here is in red. So that's your primary function. And then to the right of it, it says E. So if you double tap that, or if you push shift and that, it's going to take you to pad bank E. So you have 8 different pad banks. So essentially you have 16 pads and then 8 different pad banks. So that gives you 128 pads for a program. I'll get into programs later. So go ahead and keep following this series and I'll go over all of this stuff later. Underneath the pad bank buttons, the first one here is actually note repeat. All right. So if I just push it and let go, it doesn't really do much. But if I push it and let me go back to a different drum program here. So if I push it and hold down a hi-hat, I get a note repeat feature, and if I double tap it or push shift and the button, the secondary function is latch. So I could take my finger off of the note repeat and you kind of can hear some of the aftertouch right there. So if I push it and let off of it, you can hear it gets quieter and louder depending on how hard I press the pad. It's pretty cool. All right, but then if you look down here on the screen, this is the touch screen, right? You have quarter notes, 8th notes, 16th notes, 32nd, 64th, and then you actually have triplets too. So right here, we have full level. So basically, if you push that, all these pads are gonna give you the maximum velocity, all right? So if you go to half level or shift and full level, that gives you half level. You can see it's blinking here. It's going to give me half velocity. And again, full velocity would be 127 velocity, and the half level is actually 64 velocity. All right, moving right along. Right here is your 16 level. So if you press that, it's going to bring up your menu here. And basically you have different options here, like you have your velocity, tune, filter, layer, attack, and decay. So say if you had a bass and you click tune, so I want that pad. All right, so if I do tune on there, right? I could take that one sample and basically play notes out of it. And that's just an example of what 16 level does. I'll go into more detail about this later. Okay, so the next button is erase. If I press that and bring it up, basically I can erase different parts of the sequence. All right, so I can erase the whole sequence or the automation or the notes or everything except the note, okay? And alternatively, if you had a beat going, if you push erase and hold it down while this is playing, you can erase whatever that pad is doing. I'll give you an example of this in a minute. Moving right along, let's move to the cue links. So if you look here, you have a cue link button. So underneath this cue link button, there's LED indicators because you actually have 16 cue links, but you can only access 4 of them at a time with the MPC Live. So if you hold that down, you can actually see what cue links that these 4 are using. So it's actually this top here. So if I go to the next set of cue links, I'm, controlling this next set and so on. And then you can control the cue links of the project, program, pad scene, pad parameter, or the screen. So I'll do a whole tutorial about cue links later as well, but this is kind of the overview of what it actually does. Just in case I didn't go over this, these are your cue links. You got 1, 2, 3, 4 cue links. And then this encoder here is actually called your data dial. So if you look closely, when I touch different areas, right, there's actually a red box that goes to the area that I touch. And for example, say if I tap track, okay, you can see I'm on track 1, but if I go forward with this, it changes the track. And if I go back, it changes it back. All right, and you can also push it in. So check it out when I push it in. It brings up this menu and then I can scroll through, select whatever I want, push it again. All right, so this is actually very handy. I use it all the time. It makes things simple. The first button you'll see here is shift. So if I push and hold this down, then I can access the secondary functions of all the different buttons. Like for example, the next key over here is menu, but underneath it, it says browse. So if I push shift and that button, it brings me to the browser. But if I just push that button, it takes me to the menu. So that pretty much covers the menu button. So if I go back over here, this is the main button. So if I push the main button, it's going to take me back to the main window. So this is your main MPC Live window. Or if you read the manual, it's called main mode. This is the main mode of the MPC Live. This is where you're going to do most of your work out of. And alternatively, if you push shift in main, it actually takes you to track. So you can see all your tracks right there and you can scroll through. Akai separates your MIDI tracks from your audio tracks. So the top section is your MIDI tracks. And this section here is your audio tracks. Okay, again, if I go back to main, I can go back to main. Now here you have undo. So basically it does exactly what you would think it would do. So when you add something, say you record a drum beat, you didn't like it, you push undo, it undoes the last thing you recorded. And then you have redo, say you did like the drum beat, you can redo that. Actually, let me show you. Let me actually go to a new sequence here. And then, okay, so I'm in a new sequence, it's an empty track, and then I have this kit. Now say, if I want to record something, let's go ahead and move to the transports here. All I have to do is hit record and play. All right. And you can hear that hi-hat still in there, but if I didn't want that hi-hat, all I would have to do is hit undo, and it takes it out. So if I wanted to bring it back, if I push redo, shift and redo, underneath here it says redo, it should come back in. Check it out. All right, undo, redo. Very simple. All I'll do is undo it now. So we're back to empty. Just wanted to show you that really quick. All right, so now we're on to copy. So basically, if you push copy, you get this menu right there. Okay, we got A03. So that's what pad is actually currently selected. It's that hi-hat, okay? And if I tap different pads, it's gonna select a different pad. So say if I wanted to copy that pad to a different bank, all I would have to do is keep it selected on that pad, click down here, go to a different bank. So now I'm in bank B, and add it right there. Push do it, and then that pad's right there as well. So I have it here, bank A, bank B. This could be useful, let's say if you wanted to do a different settings on this pad, like if you wanted to add effects right here on this pad, on the hi-hat, if you wanted to do a reverb, but you didn't want that reverb on this one, you know, you can copy your samples over and do stuff like that. It's actually very useful. I use it a lot. It's pretty cool. I'll actually do a more detailed video about that. Moving right along. So say, let's go back to that bank. So say I didn't want that there for whatever reason. All I would have to do is push shift and copy, which is actually delete. Under here it says delete. Tap that pad, delete it. So now if you listen when I tap that pad, you don't hear anything. So that's copy for you. Moving right along to tap. So this is actually the tap tempo. So right here is your tempo. It's default at 120 BPM, and that's set by your sequence. If you go back, you can see here, the demo project is actually at 93 on that sequence. But if I go to the other sequence, it's on 120. If I wanted to change that, let's actually go back here. So let's play this. If I want to change that tempo, you know, that brings it down to 47, 363. You know, kind of back to where it was, 102. But that's what tap tempo does. I can undo it. Let's get back to where we were, 93. All right, so there's your tap tempo. You have to understand your transports. So right here, here's record, okay? So let's go back to that new sequence. All right, so if I play it, you don't really hear anything because there's nothing on this sequence. So if I push record, by default, when I hit play, it's gonna give me that count in. So when I push record, it kind of arms it to be recorded. So anything I do once this is in record mode is going to get recorded. All right, so check it out. I'm going to go back to bank A. So I have this drum kit. So if I hit record and play start, it's going to start at the beginning and start recording. But by default, the metronome is going to give me a count in. So check it out. All right, so now it went from record to overdub. Say I was happy with that, push overdub again, takes the metronome off. Obviously I was off, but still, say I was happy with that. Takes that metronome off. All right, and then you have your basic drum beat right there. So that's what record does. So you heard how it was off at the end. So what I want to do is be like, well, I didn't really like that snare drum. So what I could do is play it, push erase, and hold that snare drum down, and it'll take the snare drum out of the whole mix. So check it out. Play it, hold erase, and hold that snare drum down. It's going to delete the snare drum. So I just hold it down to where the snare drum is erased through the whole sequence here. Now when it plays, the snare drum's not showing up. So say I want to actually put that snare drum back in. If I hit overdub, not record, but overdub, and play start, I can actually put that snare drum back. So check it out. I push overdub again. And I'm like, oh yeah, this is great, I'm happy with this. Just leave it alone, it's done. So you'll notice when I was done with my edits, I clicked overdub. That's because if I would have left it on overdub and started tapping along, it would have recorded all of those events into the sequence. You know, I didn't want to record any more events. I was happy with what I had. So I clicked overdub and it kept playing. All right. And again, I will go into this more into the future, but this is kind of the basic foundational steps. Okay, so here we go. Obviously stop stops it, okay? That's self-explanatory. Now you can see we have a play and we have a play start. All right, so the difference between play and play start is play will start playing where it left off. I don't know if you can see this very well, but there's a white line that goes across and it's not on the first beat of the sequence. So if I hit play, it's not going to start on that bass kick. So check it out. Okay, here I started on that hi-hat, and when I push stop, it just stops right there where the play, ended. So if I hit play again, right, it's just going to keep starting and playing where it left off. But if I push play start, it plays from the beginning of the sequence. All right, so there you go. There's your transport. So we covered the pads, the pad banks, this little section here, your cue links, this section here, okay, including your transport. And right here, you can see there's a plus arrow and a negative sign. All right, so you got your plus and your minus. So basically, whatever this red box is on, you can use this to go to the different things in there. All right. So if I keep pushing up, it's going to take me to the next sequence. So you can see really fast, I got to sequence 13. If I push down, I can take it back to 1. But you can see there's actually an arrow here, and that indicates if there's more options or a menu. Alternatively, you could click in here like I showed you with the data dial and click in there, and it gives you the list here. Okay, you can see. All right, so there's the overview of all the different buttons on here. I know I kind of went a little bit further and played the sequence and did different things without giving you a background of what sequences are, but I'm going to cover the breakdown of how a project is inside the MPC and give you an overview of that in a different video. In this video, I just kind of wanted to give you a short summary of what every single button did on the MPC Live. So in the future, I want to do more and more videos, so you need to know this knowledge in the beginning, because my next videos are going to piggyback off this foundational level. So yeah, so there you go. And I could make this video like 5 hours long, but I'm going to break it down into sections, kind of give you a brief overview first, and then I'm going to go into detailed the different parameters and the different modes and et cetera, and how to use the MPC Live. So there you have it. This has been an overview of the top panel on the MPC Live. So this video is a part of a video series. Go ahead and click the card right there and you'll be able to go over to that video series, check out the videos. I'm going to be adding more videos to this as I go. There should be a couple over there already. And if you want to see the other videos to come, go ahead and remember to subscribe to the channel. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up below. If you found it helpful, you can go ahead and share this. My name is Matthew. Continue to create, and I'll see you in the next video.